Hey guys, welcome back to the third episode of Bloopers Brigade. We promised we'd have some guests for you, and we finally got our first one. Gary Sheffield Jr. of Outkick coverage. Also joined by my co-host, as always, Jake Gordon. This actually worked out perfectly for us because we asked for the interview, and we didn't know we were going to be playing the Yankees. You're a big Yankees fan. We got 2 9-game winning streaks happening, so I guess we'll just start off let's get some takes on the series. First time since 1901 that's happened.
Yeah, first time with two teams with 2 9-game winning streaks are going to play. The Braves have won 13 straight on the road, but they're back at home tonight. They have won 10 in a row against lefties. They're going to face off against Jordan Montgomery tonight. By the time y'all hear this, it'll be the next day. But the Yankees, they're in MLB best 26-9 since the break. And Gary, I was going to ask, what do you attribute that to?
Well, first off, I attribute it to not actually just having righties stacked up on top of each other. That was really frustrating to watch. And I don't understand how you can just do the same thing and expect different results. And then after the trade deadline, when they added Rizzo, even though Rizzo's only been hitting like 174 since I believe it his first couple weeks with the Yankees, it's like, okay, the fact that his left-handed bat is there allows a different look. It allows a team to say, well, we can't just throw a righty there and just stack up all these righties. It made it really difficult for the Yankees to score. And now that the Yankees are scoring, it took pressure off that rotation. And the rotation actually was doing a pretty good job. So I'm not surprised that they're really getting it figured out and starting to win games. It was just a matter of scoring. And now that the lineup is just more balanced, we're raking. And now the Braves are the next team in line.
It's funny, you talk about doing the same thing over and over. We always seem to have that problem with Brian Snitker as he continues to pitch Will Smith in the 9th inning. But, so I know you talked about the Rizzo
he's getting the job done. He's getting the job done.
Yeah, sure.
It might not be pretty, and and you'll learn this. You'll learn this from watching this series, because if we have a lead in the 9th inning, you got a chance, even if it's like a 4-run lead. He'll probably load up the bases and then somehow get a double play and get out of it. That's just how it's been going. But I think his blown saves, he still only has 3 on the year. So as much shit as we give him, he gets the job done. It's just not pretty.
Yeah, and I want to ask you too. You talk about the Rizzo pickup. Are you starting to ease up on Brian Cashman a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. I have to. That's the thing, is I'm very critical. I'm critical. I want to win, and Yankees fans want to win. They have expectations to win, and if we're being critical, that means we love the team. It's not that we hate individuals for no reason. It's you're doing something. If we're going to pay $25 for a pretzel and a Pepsi, then I want to show up to the field and actually have good product out there. I don't want to see a closer out there like Zach Britton. I know he went on the IL today, but Zach Britton, they're paying him $13-14 million a year to be completely irrelevant and just a head-scratching move to bring out onto the field. That's frustrating, and it's an indictment on the front office. But there's other moves that he's doing well. The Rizzo pickup was great. Even though Gallo's not hitting at all, the fact that he can play center field, move Aaron Judge back out to right field, it's bringing some normality to this lineup and some balance. And now you're starting to see it come out on the field. So I have to give him his credit.
Yankees and Braves fans are a lot more alike than I thought. You got a closer you're spending $13 million on, you really don't care for. A couple good deadline pickups getting hot.
Yeah.
Well, didn't Britton come to Boone and say, I don't want to be closing anymore? I shouldn't be closing. I shouldn't be out there in high leverage situations. That's pretty crazy. That is super nuts.
Very next day, he's coming in to close.
I feel like you can't have that mentality.
Did he come in to close? They put him to close the next day?
A big situation, at least. He came in a big spot.
That's insane.
And that's really what he's saying. What he's saying is, I need to come in low leverage situations where it's not going to matter. It's not going to be detrimental to this team. Britton knows physically he's not where he needs to be. You can see it on the radar gun. He's throwing 92, 93. That's not Zach Britton. Zach Britton's a power sinker guy, gets ground balls, but he can also miss some bats because he's throwing 98, 99. Well, if Aroldis Chapman was out there throwing 94, 95, we would start to see a lot of contact because his body's not right. And that's what Britton's seeing. So he really shouldn't be seeing the field, even when healthy, until you start seeing that velocity back. I know that they want to throw him out there because of the investment, but this is the New York Yankees. You don't just throw a guy onto the field because you're spending money.
Yeah, exactly. And y'all are in a tight race. Boston pulled that one out today. Tampa Bay, they're still playing well.
Yeah.
But, getting into the matchup tonight, so we got Jordan Montgomery going against Huascar Ynoa. Obviously, Ynoa had a great start to the season, had a pretty good start, his first start coming back from injury. But, he might be on a short leash, and, they may have him on a pitch count. I think Montgomery, he looks like a good 3 behind Garrett Cole and, Jameson Taillon.
Right.
But the Braves have dominated lefties. Like I said, they've won 20 of their past 26 games against lefty starters. And I think, 10 in a row. It's the longest streak in the majors. How do you think the Yankees win this game and get around this Braves offense that looks like they're in for a big night?
They just have to make it muddy. I mean, even if you're losing coming into the 8th and 9th, you're playing Atlanta. Their weakness is closing those games. They can hit with any team in the league. I mean, the lineup rakes. Even without Ronald Acuna, they're putting up runs. They're just sputtering in the end. Like, I know you said that Will Smith is finding ways to win these games, but they're ugly. Now, if you can put guys, DJ LeMahieu's in spots where Will Smith is making it ugly, those guys can make them pay. Some of those guys that are hot, you need those guys up there in those big spots, and the Yankees have to hope that that's the case, because you can pry 2 or 3 games from a series away from a team that can't close the deal late in the game. That's just the way the baseball, it's unfortunately the way it goes. Braves fans know it better than most fans. It is hard to get the last 3 outs. The Yankees, I believe, can win at least 1 game in the 9th inning, and hopefully it's tonight.
I'm excited to see. I don't know if you've watched a lot of Ynoa, but going against this powerful Yankees lineup, I mean, he's got unbelievable stuff, 98 to 100, and then he's got a wipeout slider that's one of the best in the game. And this is really kind of an audition. We've got 3 guys, Toussaint, Smiley, Ynoa. One of those guys is going to get the 5th spot in the rotation down the stretch. So I'm really excited to see how he matches up against these bats and see if he can miss a lot of them. Because if he can, I mean, this guy could be, like I said in an earlier podcast a couple of weeks ago, he could be that Ian Anderson, that young guy that you're relying on in big situations in the postseason that you didn't really expect to get that production from. So I think this is a huge outing for Ynoa to kind of solidify himself in the rotation.
Yeah, and you talk about making them pay. You look, no disrespect to the Orioles, but all disrespect to the Marlins and Nationals. Like, they don't have a lot of guys that are gonna make you pay. They probably have about 1 each. You got Juan Soto, you got
Jesus Aguilar is like their best player.
Yeah.
That's like
and
the best player the Marlins
Mullins.
have. And he was like looking for a contract as like a minor league player like 2 years ago.
Yeah, but I know why you have a little more faith in this game tonight. Because I know who's pitching tomorrow, your favorite player. You got Andrew Heaney going against Charlie Morton.
Oh, Lord.
And Morton has been one of the best pitchers in baseball since June. They've kind of been on different trajectories, but Heaney just had probably his best start. Well, not probably. He just had his best start in pinstripes against Boston. 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 run. You think this is a chance for him to build on that, or how do you think it's going to go?
No. Andrew, that's the thing, dude. People say this to me all the time. They'll say, well, hey, he's been bad. So, and for me, if someone's been bad, then Gleyber Torres is a perfect example of that. They'll say, well, he was good at this stretch. And they'll say it was this last year and a half. This is what they could be. And Andrew Heaney, whatever his name is, it's like he'll go out there and give up 7 runs. I mean, he played the cornfield game, and he goes out there and gives up, and he essentially after the game says, I didn't even give our team a chance, right? He says, well, I didn't even give us a chance, I was that bad, which is right, and I'm happy that he was able to say that. But then he shows up the next game and he pitches well. It's like, realistically, any pitcher or hitter in the league, there's going to be 1 start, 2 starts in the whole season where you go, that was actually a pretty good start. But the good pitchers are more consistent. He is just not consistently good. And for a team that's in a race, the Braves, who are trying to win games desperately right now, that's who you want to see. You want to see a guy who fails to be consistent, and that's all you can hope for. And when you say a guy is not good, really, they're big league baseball players. He's still a good player. He's a good pitcher. It's just that in the major league level, if you're not going to be consistent, if you don't consistently hit spots, if you don't consistently bring your stuff, that's when people start calling you bad. It's just inconsistency. So if I'm a Braves fan, I feel really good. The Yankees rotation is not lining up the way they need it to against a team. They need Garrett Cole. They need some of their top flight guys, and they just don't have it this series.
Yeah, Gary, I respect what you're saying, but you obviously haven't seen Robbie Irlin and Tommy Malone pitch.
Dude, you took it from me. I was just going to say that, man.
Because we had to do
Those
that.
Those guys never made one good start.
Not one.
The game we won 29-9 against the Marlins. Tommy Malone gave up 8 runs in 2 innings. We were losing.
He couldn't get out of the third inning, and he got spotted 20 runs.
Hey, that's an Andrew Heaney special right there. That's what he needs. 20 runs of run support tonight. That's what he needs. The Yankees have to score probably in that start with Andrew Heaney. They probably have to score 9 runs.
Well, hey, the good news is, I mean, they've seen plenty of Charlie Morton. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, they've got about a 3.5 run ERA. I'd say that's pretty average. But, I mean, Morton, he's been hot. The fan perspective has changed on him greatly, which I told everybody to stop freaking out after 4 weeks where he wasn't pitching that well. And then he was arguably the best pitcher in all of June. Right. But, hey, Morton's a guy. He's got a large repertoire. He's crafty. You know, he's been around the game. But, like I said, the Yankees have seen him before. But yeah, I think it still comes down to making it muddy at the end. I feel like that's how it always is with the Braves. Even if it's not muddy, we had the Marlins down 11-4 and won 11-9 in the ninth.
Yeah, let's not stick. Yeah, I don't need to see Josh Tomlin this series at all. I don't need to see any of those guys, especially against a good lineup, let alone the Marlins. So hopefully we don't have to see those guys at all.
Shoot, the Braves actually constructed a little bit. You guys are constructed a decent bit of how baseball teams used to be constructed. You actually want to beat the relievers. And that's not the way baseball is played anymore. A lot of times, the Yankees, if they struggle against the starter, sometimes they'll make Matt Harvey look like Sandy Koufax. And when that happens, they really struggle the whole game because only better pitchers are coming in later in the games. And the Braves is literally the opposite. Sometimes you have Max Fried stepping up and being absolutely on fire for a month and carrying the roster. And you literally want to get that guy out, get his pitch count up, do all those things. And what did the Yankees just do? They went and got Joey Gallo. They went and got Anthony Rizzo, guys who run up the count, and that can really benefit the Yankees in the series.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's helped the Braves a lot too. All the bases loaded walks they've been taking over the past couple of weeks, they have just been walking like crazy, which I'm not going to complain about. And that's helped them out a lot. I mean, they were playing, the Marlins and the Cardinals and a couple other teams, but hey, I'm not going to complain about that, especially. Like you said, you got guys like, even in, Alex Reyes out in St. Louis, so many good relief arms nowadays. And, we've kind of been blessed to have Tyler Matzik, who the guy was out of baseball in 2015 and came back last year and was pretty good. He's been locked down over the past month. Luke Jackson used to be the most hated player by a large majority of the fan base. Luke Jackson has been a terrific reliever. And other than that, you just kind of hope the rest of the pieces stay together in the puzzle and it doesn't fall apart. And hope one of those two guys will give you a good inning and hope for the best.
Outside of Matzik, especially on Twitter. Like we have a crazy fan base. I'll say that. Like they go to war on Twitter with pretty much anybody. But I think the Yankees are kind of the same. Other Atlanta teams, not so much. Other Atlanta teams, the fan bases are kind of like solid. They just kind of expect bad things to happen. But the Braves, they got a big fan base, and they're cutthroat as hell.
That's a fact. The Falcons fans are grim. They are so doomsday. They could be winning a game 30-0 at halftime, and everyone's like, well, we already know what to expect. I'm like, give it a shot. Do something.
No,
almost like the way Cubs fans used to be.
I get it, man. I get it. When you've been through it like so many times, and then you think 28-3 is the end. You think that's the end. Like it can't get worse. And then it's like it happens 5 times the next season. You're like, how? Like how? I mean, there had to be something like that's why Dan Quinn never had a shot after that loss. Like you can't get over that mentally with the same regime. Like you need to be fired on the spot and just move on. Like get that separation.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get over that 3-1 hump with the Dodgers. But hey, I will say with this Braves team, whenever we lost Ronald, I was like, okay, season's over because Ronald is our baby boy. We love him so much. But it's one of those things when you look at the Nationals back in 2019, which I don't even really count that, but they got so hot at the right time. Like they were just scorching hot. And that's really all that matters. You saw the Rockies, they went like 26-2 over the last month or something like that. The year they got swept, or maybe gentlemen swept by the Red Sox.
Yeah.
It's all about getting hot.
It is.
Yeah. The Braves are hot at the right time, or well, I guess it's not really the right time yet, but they've gotten hot enough to take a commanding division lead. And one thing I'll say is the offense without Acuna probably isn't as good. But Alex Anthopoulos put together enough bats in this lineup where 1 through 8, they have a chance of each guy 1 through 8 having 20 home runs. When you have that, like you're in every game, especially when you have a good rotation like the Braves. So as long as they don't blow games at the end, they're always going to be in a good spot because this offense can score because everyone can hit a home run at any second.
Yeah, and while we're talking about going down the stretch too, I want to talk about the AL East race. So I don't think Tampa Bay's played today, but you guys are 4.5 back of Tampa, but you do have the first wild card spot. I checked that yesterday, but it seems like it's going to come down to Boston, Oakland, and New York in the wild card race if you guys don't win the division. But you guys, the Rays, the Sox, and the Yankees all seem to have pretty, they don't have like a gauntlet going down the stretch. There's some tough teams in there, but I see like the Mets. I see the like Orioles. That. I see the Marlins. Yeah.
I heard Mets. I'm like, woo, all right.
Hey, they're in a good frame of mind and they're ready for this game. But
we talk about that every episode. Steve Cohen, that guy's a hoot.
Oh my gosh! But I want to know, how do you see things shaking out? Do you think you guys are gonna sweep in and get the division, or do you think that it's gonna end up being a wild card game?
Honestly, I expect a wild card and a strong wild card team. Like, we are barely by a fingernail going to not outrun Tampa. Tampa's a good team, and they're finally starting to hit. I know Nelson Cruz has now hit that COVID IL, but overall as a team, they used to just not really score that many runs. They'd outpitch people. Even the first half of the season, their entire first half run, they were not scoring. They were just outpitching people, and that's really a formula to win. The Yankees have done that formula. They've used that all the time, but now their team is scoring. So when you can score runs, and then you have guys just in that rotation with that much talent, even without Glasnow, you're going to win games. And I can't imagine we're just going to outrun them. So, I mean, it's very late in the season. But in terms of matchups, when it gets to the playoffs, the Yankees know, like, they can beat anyone in the American League. The real danger's in the National League. And that's why the Yankees maybe didn't have to get too aggressive in going to get Trevor Story for this race, like all these other type of guys on the market. They actually just had to get guys who fit well, and they knew eventually that Oakland and all these teams would shoot themselves in the foot, and they have. The last the last week or so, Oakland has really dropped the ball. And so right now the Yankees are in the driver's seat, and would I be shocked? I would be shocked if they won the division. Honestly, I still see Tampa winning it.
What do you?
It's so much like the Braves, though. I mean, you talk about getting a couple pieces, like they just kind of started plugging. Obviously we don't have Marcell Ozuna, we don't have Acuna. You go get Eddie Rosario, which we haven't seen him yet, but we probably will here in a couple days. You go and get Jock Peterson. You go get Adam Duvall back, who's been fantastic. It's kind of the same situation. I don't know. Maybe it'd be a World Series matchup. I don't know. But
what do you think of the whole wild card game, the 1 game playoff? Because I'm of the mindset when you have 162 games, it's so stupid to have it come down to a 1 game playoff, which is why I don't like expansion. I think you have enough crappy teams already sneaking their way in. I don't need to see the Mets in the playoffs after what they've done at the end of the season. So, I mean, what do you think about, I know they're probably going to expand the playoffs in the coming years, and you have this wild card playoff. What do you think about all that?
If you're a fan of contenders, the wild card is literally the worst idea ever. It sucks. It's so bad. And for teams that you get off to, it's injuries, and there's all types of factors for why the best teams on paper don't make it to the playoffs. Like for teams like the Yankees, it would be a shame for the Yankees, the way they're playing right now, to say, well, if we don't run down Tampa, we're not in. That's cutthroat. It's very difficult. The best teams aren't making it in, but sometimes it's like that team just really shouldn't be there. Like they really, it's not good for, and I guess for baseball, it's always good the more teams you have. It's just not fair. That's the real issue, is we do want fairness. You don't want it to be almost just as easy to come out the wild card. We've seen a ton of success in winning World Series out the wild card. It's really like, I know they say it's difficult to win out the wild card, but like, is it? Because you're playing desperation baseball for a month and a half just to get there. And all these teams are like, well, we've got a 6-game lead in the division, and they show up not ready to play. Sometimes the wild card is just a bad idea, but in terms of TV, which is all baseball really cares about, and revenue, it's a great idea.
As long as Sam Holbrook isn't the outfield extra outfield umpire,
I was gonna mention that because the year before they had the 2-team wild card, when it was just 1 team, the Braves blew like a 10-game lead in the wild card, like to the Cardinals, and the Cardinals end up getting the only wild card spot, and they end up winning the World Series. The very next year, the Braves win the wild card by like 15 games over the Cardinals, but it's a 2-team thing, and then we lose in the playoff to the 1-game playoff to the Cardinals, and it's just like that's just such an Atlanta thing to happen. But I mean, if you have a 10-game lead and over this, the second wild card spot, and it comes down to a 1-game playoff, I'm just like, come on. Are we really doing this? Because anyone can win a damn baseball game, especially with the aces on the mound.
Yeah, I mean, Trent Grisham botched that play in left field against the Nationals, and they won the World Series. I think that was a wild card game, but
yes, it was Milwaukee. Yeah, I remember that.
Hopefully we don't have to worry about that this year. But speaking of the NL East race, the Braves obviously on fire. We've already talked about it. Phillies do have the second easiest schedule in all of baseball down the stretch, and the Braves, they're kind of middle of the pack. They play 17 of their remaining 38 games. The team's above 500, and 8 of those 17 are in the next 8 games because you got the Giants, the Dodgers, the Yankees coming up. And I kind of count the Rockies at home because the Rockies at home are just incredible. But how do you see things shaking out in the NL East? How do you think that's going to go down?
And there's only one right answer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like a homer here, just since I'm on the show, but Atlanta, just the way you're playing, it's when you're playing well. I know you talked about peaking maybe a little early before postseason time, but the Braves really are not peaking early. They have to start winning games right. They had to start winning games right then. I know they were fluctuating. They're fluctuating at 500. They could not get over 500. I remember tweeting about it a month and a half ago. Like, this
101 games.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, this team could not win a game to get to 500. And then all of a sudden, people started to notice it. They got to 17, 18. And then all of a sudden, they get above 500. And then they start winning. They had to do that. Philly went and made a move at the deadline. And they're starting to look like the team that was the aggressor. Atlanta had some injuries. But Atlanta did some huge things in the deadline. I don't think anybody expected, like, Soler, all these guys to be traded for. These are a lot of trades that just came out of nowhere. And they really worked out. They just did. And it really helped the lineup. You have the emergences of Dansby Swanson. And Dansby, a lot of guys, I mean, one of my best friends who's a huge Braves fan was like, I can't stand Dansby. I want him on the team or whatever. I didn't really have an opinion on it. And all of a sudden, the dude's going to hit 25, 30 home runs in a season.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, what are you supposed to, like, realistically, when you lose Ronald Acuna, if you got production like that and from the 5 and 6 and 7 spot in the lineup, you're going to win games, especially in a weaker division. So right now the Braves are doing what they have to do, and I see them winning the division.
We've seen the formula for the Braves before, though, starting pitching and just bashing the ball, getting hits. Like, the offense has always drove this team. We've seen before, we always say Ronald Acuna, he's the straw that stirs the drink. All right, well, now Austin Riley's doing a little bit of that. All right, now Dansby's doing a little bit of that. Adam Duvall's doing a little bit of that. Maybe one night Jorge Soler hits a home run and a double. He's doing a little bit of that. And it's more spread out. It sucks to not have your superstar, but the lineup top to bottom feels a little bit more complete than it did last year.
It did. I mean, I feel like it put pressure, like, it almost like took so much pressure off this team to have such a superstar up there where it's like, I don't really have to do anything. Like, this is Ronald's team. Like, the crowd's all here to see him. They're all in his jersey. And if I contribute, it's kind of like icing on the cake. All of a sudden, it's Dansby Swanson. And you're in the key situation. You're in the 2 spot. And then everyone's sliding up, and they're like, wait, look at my role. The roles are starting to change, and guys are starting to feel important. And Austin Riley, now that all of a sudden his role is more dire and he's needed, he's delivering. And you're starting to see a player where I know a lot of Braves fans are like, why didn't we go get Nolan Arenado? Why don't we go get these guys? And Austin Riley, you're saying, well, I'm right here. I'm ready to play. And at the right time, too. I mean, he's playing at an important time, and starting next or whenever Ronald Acuna Jr. is back, it's hopefully these guys at least pick up some of the slack of what they're doing right now, and you start to see an even better team. And I predicted the Braves to win the World Series before this year started. And this is the type of production I was hoping to see out of these complementary players.
Yeah, and you look at Riley, and he had a lot of. I wouldn't say the same progression because Ronald never hit to that low of an average. He didn't strike out as much, but his patience has been. The guy is so big and strong. I mean, if he can make a pitcher throw a strike, he's going to hit it hard. And, we're seeing the dividends of that this year, which, I'm so happy for Austin Riley because so many people, were so hard on. He's 24. Like, he's younger than me.
Yeah.
He's still a kid, and he's finally figuring it out. And people are finally realizing, like, he is the third baseman of the future that everybody thought he could be.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Him and Dansby have just been, those are 2 guys that get absolutely roasted on Twitter all the time. I mean, people wanted to trade Dansby halfway through the year. Before the season, nobody wanted Austin Riley to start. And now these guys are carrying the club. Obviously, Freddie's always going to be Freddie. I mean, the guy's the most underrated player in baseball. better extend those guys. But Dansby's another guy that's coming up for an extension that I think a lot of guys are ready to trade or, put on the bench. And now we're talking about he could get easily over $100 million. I mean, he's over his last 86 games, he has 22 bombs. I mean, that's a 40 home run pace. Yeah. Like that's for a shortstop. I mean, in Atlanta, I mean, what he's bringing to the table has just been unbelievable. And Riley is almost playing like an MVP. So those two guys have been so critical. And when you get Acuna back, that's scary. That's scary.
It is.
If those guys can play like that.
It just sucks, man. Like with last year, obviously we still don't have Mike Soroka back, but losing Mike Soroka and you go in and you start AJ Minter in an LCS game and, he played well. But, you look at this year, now you got Charlie Morton. Drew Smiley's been serviceable at times. Tuki Toussaint's played pretty well for a rookie. I don't know if you put him in that spot. Have so more odds than you had last year. And then now you're missing Ronald. It's just there's always just one piece that's missing.
But in baseball, I know it's not a contact sport, but there's so many injuries. I mean, pretty much every team by the end of the year is pretty battered. I mean, even though it doesn't seem like a sport where there'll be a ton of injuries, I mean, there's multiple to every team because you got 26 men on the roster, you got arm injuries. Right. So everyone's kind of dealing with that stuff. And that's why the deepest teams win. I mean, who would have thought the Dodgers would be having rotation issues at the beginning of the year? I mean, never. I mean, that looked like the best rotation of all time. And they're signing Cole Hamels off the streets.
Yeah. They sure are.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's how baseball works, man. So as much as you want to make excuses that we don't have Acuna, you kind of just got to put your head down, chug forward and try to win ball games because once you get to the playoffs, for the most part, it's kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah. All right. So you knew we were going to get into this. I know you're a big Phoenix Suns fan.
Oh God! All right, that's about it for tonight, guys.
So Chase was the one. I don't know. I don't even know if he knew you were a Suns fan, but he just got. I barely watched the finals.
Sometimes I forget that we have other people on the TL that are fans of other teams. So I'll just be talking shit, and people be like, "Yo, why did you of all days choose these guys?"
We have one guy. One guy, he's the biggest Falcons and Braves fans, and he's also a Utah Jazz fan. And one night I was just the Jazz are frauds. They're the worst one seed I've ever seen. And he was like, dude, what are you talking about?
That's thing to say. We're written off, bro. We're written off. I'm yeah, you're written off because you guys aren't good. That's why.
Yeah.
All right. So I am gonna ask you a few Suns questions.
Okay.
The first one. Do you see the Suns getting back to the finals within the next 3 years? You got Chris Paul on a big deal. This looks like it's going to be his last rodeo. It's still a good roster. Great coach. Love Monty Williams. Do you think they'll be back, or do you think this is going to be an aberration?
Well, I'm actually considering buying a house and then selling it for the profits and then putting 100% of that profit on the fact that my Phoenix Suns, will not be in the finals in the next 3 years. And I don't want to take it away from what we did because it's still really hard to do. You're playing the remaining teams, but when you look at the rosters that are being constructed, I know a lot of people think it's unfair and everyone's everyone's joining up and buddy ball, all that stuff. The Phoenix Suns would be doing it too. If Kevin Durant wanted to play for the Phoenix Suns, we would trade whoever we had to trade, whether it was DeAndre Ayton, all that. But the fact of the matter is the Brooklyn Nets exist. And then you have the Lakers who exist, the healthy. I mean, you have to presume that teams are going to be healthy when they face you in the playoffs. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on one roster is going to be a better team. I don't really care who's around them. It's going to be a better team than the Phoenix Suns, than a 37-year-old Chris Paul. And that's just the way life works. Sometimes they're just better than you. It doesn't mean you're not good. I know the Suns are a good team. But if you're going to go face the Los Angeles Clippers or the Lakers with Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, and LeBron, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the way I feel about Brooklyn.
Yeah,
that's the way I feel about Brooklyn. If they're healthy, the Hawks don't have a shot.
Nope.
We have to have a significant injury, which I'm not going to root for, but that's what has to happen for the Hawks to realistically get into these. They have a shot with Milwaukee. I think if things had stayed healthy, could have turned out differently, and they'll get better, as these guys get older. But Brooklyn, I mean, that's a bulldozer. Milwaukee would have lost that series in 5 games if Brooklyn had stayed healthy.
Isn't that weird how you look at Milwaukee and you say, oh, well, they're the standard. The Milwaukee Bucks are not the standard of the NBA.
No.
They're not the best team in the NBA. Even to be quite honest with you, fellas, they're not even close to the best team in the NBA. If you throw out everyone healthy, which I know it's fair, that's the way sports are.
It's the Hawks, yes.
The Atlanta Hawks are just without a doubt. But when you have everybody healthy, you can't argue that that Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton are the best the best duo and the best team in the NBA. You can't make the argument. The only people who are making the argument are people with Milwaukee in their bio. And I understand, like, we're all homers and we want our teams to be the best teams, but we also have to be realistic. The Suns are not going to beat the Lakers when healthy. They're not going to beat the Clippers when healthy. So my expectations are to go spend $48 on a vodka cranberry and some chicken strips and fries. Go watch.
I think you might kind of went out there. I don't know if it's there. But anyways, no, I completely agree with you. One last thing I wanted to ask about the Suns is Chris Paul's contract. I mean, the guy's going to turn 37 next year. What do you? Did you like that contract? I was pretty surprised that he got that. I thought maybe he signs maybe a 1 or 2.
Absolute baller move to just turn down $47 million. Be like, I'm good. Yeah, I know he got the new contract, but
he ended up getting it. Do you think that's going to end up being something? Because that's how these. I always say, like, in the NBA, the first thing to end a good young core is that one absolute dog shit contract. Like once you put that, like you might as well just go into rebuild mode once you get one of those onto your roster. So what did you think about that contract? Were you happy when that happened?
Honestly, I was happy. The Suns are going to be a good team. Regardless, they're just going to be a good team. And Chris Paul solidifies that. The Suns, if there was some point guard, like let's just say Steph Curry was rumored to really want to play with Devin Booker, or Damian Lillard was saying that he's on his list, and potentially the Suns could be a suitor and we can go land someone like that, then it would be a total game changer. And I would be upset that we're making ties to a 37-year-old point guard. But to be quite honest with you boys, there are no options. Like, Chris Paul is one of the best options that the Suns have right now. And if Chris Paul, a lot of teams would take Chris Paul right now. I know the Lakers would love to have Chris Paul on their roster, maybe more than even Russell Westbrook. And he's a good option. He's maybe not the best option in the NBA, but just because if you can't acquire the best option, you have to pay the guys that are available to help your team right now. And right now, Chris Paul is the guy for the Phoenix Suns. He's going to help Devin Booker. He's going to help DeAndre Ayton get better. And hopefully 2-3 years down the road, we're in position to make a big deal and go get another superstar in Phoenix. And Phoenix is a great place to live. I don't know if you guys have ever been, but this place is absolutely, it's the shit. It's the best. So people are going to want to come play here. And if you can have a really solid competitive team, which the Knicks are trying to do right now, is build a team so that a free agent will come. Hopefully we do the same thing.
Yeah, and the Suns have drafted really well. People really don't give them as much shit as they give the Hawks for the whole Luka fiasco. But DeAndre Ayton's a good player. Mikal Bridges is a good player. Cameron Johnson, really good player. And I think the Suns and the Hawks are going to run into similar issues as far as it goes with keeping that young talent. It's hard to keep everybody. Bird rights help out a lot, obviously, but it does feel like the clock's ticking. But when these teams start winning and they put together good young cores, it's going to start attracting free agents. Like you said, Phoenix is a great place to live. Atlanta, best strip club chicken wings you'll ever find. Lou Williams will attest to that.
Atlanta should be a place. I know the Hawks have been awful forever, but I feel like Atlanta should be a place that should attract NBA players. Like, if you have a good enough team, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. You still got Brooklyn and LA and New York that are obviously, and Boston, places like that. But you have to think with the core that Atlanta has, they should be able to attract someone. But like you said, it's never going to be a Kawhi Leonard. It's going to be like a Chris Paul, like that second tier NBA star. That, you're right. If you're Phoenix, if you're Atlanta, you can't really let a guy like that go.
Yeah, it can change, though. It can change really quickly, because you saw with Monte Ellis and the Golden State Warriors, Golden State was never a destination. Free agents weren't turning to Golden State and going, well, this is a place I can go to. And then all of a sudden you draft Steph Curry with the 7th pick overall. You have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. And can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So like all of a sudden they're a destination. So once you're a huge destination, you can start to work towards those big free agents. So I don't see it being crazy that Atlanta could potentially, if you can go get like a Bradley Beal on the market somehow, some way down the road, you can really change some things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Especially
we'll move on. No, you go ahead.
No. I mean, I'm just wrapping it up. But anyways, like, yeah, no, I'm excited because the Hawks do have the pieces, like the young guys, to make a big trade down the road. And I see the same thing in Phoenix. So those are two teams that definitely teams to watch. But like you said, until they get another star or something like that, they can't compete with these Brooklyn. And that's just how it is. That's how the NBA's been forever.
Yeah. Yep. And all right, last question, and we'll get you out of here. I know you said before the season you picked the Braves to win the World Series. Feel free to update that. I would suggest not if you really want to win over some of our listeners. But if you're going World Series prediction today, August 23rd, who do you got?
The Dodgers are going to win the World Series. It's either going to be the Dodgers or the Brewers. And the good news is, and this is the really good news, is the best team hardly ever wins. Like, it just doesn't usually work that way. And so the Braves actually have a real chance. And as much as people don't have confidence in the Braves bullpen, guys, bullpen, they can just be put together out of thin air. You saw the Boston Red Sox a couple years ago win the World Series, and Joe Kelly and all these guys are getting hot at the right time. Joe Kelly was a liability the entire season. He was horrible, just bad. And so all of a sudden he gets it figured out. 99 is being located all of a sudden. Now you're going to this lefty who figured out his stuff. And suddenly the guys that you were complaining about all season, Austin Riley, for example, Dansby Swanson, for example, they find their way and they're key contributors down the road and in a postseason run where you never thought that was possible. So if the Braves won the World Series, I wouldn't be shocked. But if I had gun to my head, it's going to be Dodgers or Brewers.
Who do you think comes out of the AL?
Oh, that's such a crapshoot. The
I'm really worried it's going to be Houston.
A crapshoot. It could literally be any of these teams.
Yeah, I'm a little worried to be Houston. Chicago, I think the White Sox have a shot. I don't want to see that look on Tony La Russa's face if he happens to win another World Series, but it's possible.
No, I mean, and I think the Yankees have a shot. Yeah, that is a total crapshoot. I mean, and no one even wants to give the Rays credit, but they could easily be there again.
They'll just sneak right back in, and everybody will be like, "Oh, the Rays are back in the World Series for the second year."
I actually root against the Rays, though. They're the one team in baseball where I actually root against them because I don't like the Moneyball, the Moneyball mantra where we're trying to save money and the best way to succeed is not by spending, because spending is fun. Most of the fans want to see the Braves go spend and go get a Lindor, go get a Nolan Arenado. But if you continue to reinforce this idea that you don't have to invest in players to be a competitive unit, to me, it's bad for the sport. I don't enjoy it. It makes free agents go to destinations that we don't care about.
Yeah, definitely. You're right about that. And when you show it can work, if he goes to back-to-back World Series, obviously something's working. Oakland had success with it. I actively cheer against the Mets, but they spend a lot of money. I just think they're kind of assholes. But Gary, dude, we appreciate you coming on so much. I would say best of luck, but I really wouldn't mean that. But somebody's streak's coming to it in tonight, and I guess when this comes out tomorrow, somebody's going to be happy, somebody's not. But for right now, we don't know.
Yeah, Atlanta fans you guys are conditioned for disappointment, so I don't need to really walk you guys into this. But you guys are having a great season right now. You know I'm big supporters of the Braves, but tonight is not your night. Andrew Heine,
tomorrow.
That's your night.
Tomorrow's our night. I'll take a split. I mean, we have a hot stretch coming up. So I mean, if we can go 4-4 over the next 8, we should be in good shape.
All right, thanks, man. We appreciate you hopping on, man. Hey, we'll get you back on sometime if the Yankees make the playoffs. Well, they will make the playoffs. If the Yankees go deep into the playoffs runs, who knows? Maybe we'll have a little World Series Braves-Yankees primer. We probably won't be as nice if that does happen, but we'll get you back on if that comes through.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you.
All right, thanks, man. I appreciate it, man.
All right, so
we get into
we touched on this a little bit. Braves do have a tough schedule coming up. We got the Yankees, Dodgers, Giants. That's probably the two best teams in the NL besides the Brewers, and a good Yankees team. They're going to be a playoff team, but don't sleep on. I tweeted this out. Don't sleep on the series following this at the Rockies. They're 43-21 at home and 14-45 on the road.
Listen, buddy, I'm sleeping on it. I don't give a shit what they are at home. They're a terrible team. and we're going to kick their ass. I am worried about this Yankees, Dodgers, Giants stretch, but I'm more than worried. I'm excited. I mean, we've been kind of pounding the bad teams, which is always fun. I mean, this run of 16 out of 18 wins and 10 or 9 in a row, it's been awesome. But this is why you watch the game. This is what you want to see. So I'm super excited. I think the Braves are going to more than hold their own. I think they could easily go over 500 over this stretch, but it's definitely, you got to, walk on eggshells here because you could easily go 1-7 against a stretch like this.
Are you ready for the Kevin Gausman complete game against us? The complete game shutout that he's going to throw?
Yeah, I mean, is Alex Wood healthy? That's probably coming too.
Yeah, well, there's two. But hey, yeah. I'm confident. This is, I wrote about this earlier. This is going to see, the Braves have been beaten up on bad teams. We know that, but they're still winning the games, and you can only beat who's on the schedule. We're going to see what the Braves are made of here. If they come out and lay down, maybe we get a little bit less confident. But right now, I think they can hang with these guys. I don't think they're unbeatable. I mean, the Braves gave the Dodgers literally all they wanted last year in the playoffs, and the Giants, they're a resurgent group, but
I'm still not sold on the Giants. Like, I mean, I know they played great, but if they lost this division, as good as this season could be, it could be over in one game in the playoffs, like that, like a snap of the fingers. Yeah. I obviously they've all outplayed all expectations they've had. I think they lead the majors in home runs, but I don't think they have a single player with more than 20 home runs, which is pretty incredible if you think about it. I mean, look at the Braves. So, I mean, they kind of have just everybody contributing at the right times. But at the end of the day, that usually comes to an end. You usually can't keep that going for 162 games. So we'll see if they can hang on. If they do, I mean, that's good for us. I mean, personally, like Chef said, I'm looking at the Dodgers, and everyone should be looking at the Dodgers as the favorite. They're the best team. That's the last team I want to see in the playoffs. So
if there's an opportunity, for them to get knocked out in one game, I'm here for it.
Yeah. So I'm a big Giants fan going down the stretch here. Obviously not against us, but like I said, like you said, I'm confident in this stretch. I mean, we've been playing some great baseball. The rotation is clicking. We're scoring runs. We're playing baseball the right way. The bullpen's been better than it has been all season. And like Chef said again, I mean, Joe Kelly, he mentioned Joe Kelly. I mean, that reminds me of AJ Minter. I mean, I think Minter, I still believe in that guy. And I think he could, you get him, you warm him up, you pitch him in low leverage situations, you pitch him in some mid-level situations, then maybe you give him a high leverage situation, gain some confidence. And I think that could be one of those guys that really turns this. It's already been better, but imagine if he's out there throwing 99 and looking like the guy we had last year. All of a sudden, that bullpen looks pretty damn good to go with that starting rotation. There's not going to be as much pressure on those guys. You throw a Tuki Toussaint or Teoscar Ynoa or Ian Anderson, whoever they throw out back there. I'm confident, and I'm liking where we're headed. So this is going to be a good test, see where we're at. Yeah,
definitely. And, Milwaukee is a team that, he mentioned as a World Series contender, and I completely agree with that. Milwaukee is a very good team. That's a team that the Braves hung with this year. They got whipped one game, but they came out and they took it to Corbin Burns, and Corbin Burns is one of the best pitchers in the league. So I know they can hang with them. It just comes down to and I don't want to say, just keep doing what you're doing, because that's ridiculous to say. They're not going to win 15 of their next 16 again. I mean, if they want to, go for it. But I think you've just got to keep doing the right things. Like you said, just keep playing the way, don't let it get in your head. Don't start looking over your shoulder, and just keep playing, because this team is talented enough to win like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've covered all the bases. I'm confident. We got to see it happen, because, this isn't the Washington high school team. This isn't the floppy fish that Don Mattingly coaches. This isn't even the Mets or the Phillies. These are some real killers. The Yankees are going to be fun as hell. I think I'm going to both games, so I'm super excited.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah. So, I mean, especially having them in Atlanta, the battery should be rocking. Hopefully we can play well at home. That's something we haven't done. We have the best road record, I think, in baseball, or close to it. And we just haven't been able to win like we usually. I think last year we had the best home record in baseball. And I know that's how baseball works, but we should be a better home team. So hopefully we can win at home in front of our fans. We get the Yankees and then the Giants at Truist, whatever it is now. So I'm pumped. This is what baseball is all about. This is the most excited I've been for a game since the NLCS. The Yankees, this stretch. So I'm pumped. This is what baseball season's all about. It finally feels like I can smell the playoffs, so I can smell blood in the water. So let's go out there and win some games.
Like I said, man, I smell blood in this division. Maybe I can't remember, but we were probably about 4 games back. We had just got back from being about 7 back. It was right when they finally got over 500. The Mets were just messing it up. The Phillies were looking average as they are.
And the Phillies are hurt too. I mean, Rhys Hoskins out.
Isn't Alec Boehm hurt, or did he just?
Yeah,
he just got demoted. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that guy who's better than Austin Riley, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the guy. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, I actually had some Phillies fans. I've seen some wild tweets from Phillies fans today. I don't know why, because they've been absolute playing like dog water while we just run away and grabbed a hold to a 5-game lead. But for some reason, maybe because they have an easy schedule, they think they're going to come back and win. I have a hard time believing that.
You get swept by the Diamondbacks. I don't know how confident I would be, but
yeah, I think they have the Diamondbacks coming up again. I think they play them again, so maybe they go lose. Maybe they go lose 4 in a row.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. All right, so we got to do our jersey giveaway. I'm doing the RNG right now. No cheating. All right. 1, 2.
What do we got here?
The total number. This is great radio, by the way.
Who is winning?
All right.
I'll get a drum roll.
27. And that is going to be... There's going to be Jack. Jack Will Made. I don't know if that's your last name. Yeah. I don't know.
Congratulations, Jack.
He's got the M capitalized. Yeah, congratulations, Jack.
And hopefully you listen this far into the podcast that we actually give it to you.
The kid who won the Kyle Pitts jersey on our Falcons podcast just never listened to it, and so we never gave it away. But I think Jack's going to listen to it. He was one of the first people that responded when we said ask who the most handsome Brave was. What was his answer? Who did he have?
Oh, I think he said
Austin.
Well, I think he said Austin Riley. But that's another thing. That is the correct answer. I think I got an overflow of Dansby Swanson answers. And listen, I get he's like kind of like the poster boy for like the Braves, like good, like. But listen, I think Austin Riley was the right answer. But I know
he's got that sweet Mississippi drawl. He's got the dumpy,
he's got a dumpy. He's got baby blue eyes, like. I'm very disappointed in the Dansby answers, but it is what it is. I mean,
someone came in. We had 1 vote for Adam Duvall. I think that's a sneaky good pick.
Yeah, I thought Adam Duvall was a good pick. I think we had a couple Max Frieds, but Dansby definitely took it by maybe just guys don't know how to judge other guys.
Yeah, not like us.
Maybe that's it. Not like us. No, I know a model when I see one. Austin, I'm here for you, bro. You're an MVP on the field and off of it.
Exactly. Imagine being an MVP candidate and being that handsome. It must be nice.
Oh my God, I'm neither of those things.
Yeah, exactly. Same. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for us. We appreciate you listening as always. Jack, I hope you made it this far. Just DM
Gary,
us with
shout out to Gary Sheffield Jr. for being our first game on the pod. I think we're gonna have Alex from Chatting Average, Austin Riley Rakes. Is he gonna be next week?
Yeah, he said anytime, and I told him it would be next week, and he said he's game. So we'll have him on next week. And after that, I don't know. We talked to Michael Harris, and
he had an interesting response. Thank you.
He said thank you. He didn't say yes or no, but it's also not a no. So he might still be on there. Maybe after the season ends, but we'll definitely get some more guests going.
Yeah, appreciate you guys listening, and we'll be back next week for episode 4.